most of the Green Goblin Harry Osborn stuff happens in that rather than the main series. So I was reading The Amazing Spider-Man, it was like doing some Venom stuff, and then it just cut to Harry Osborn in prison.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, wait a minute. And I had to go back and I had like a bunch of issues to read, and I've been catching up with them, and it's really fucking good.
Is this
really
where
good.
like Harry becomes the new Goblin?
Yeah, I've never really got why Harry Osborn was meant to be a good Green Goblin. It felt like they were just doing it again, or that it's just that father-son thing. And
revenge angle.
Yeah, because I've read a bit of it, and in those early issues, there's different reasons why he does it. Where he has a bit of a psychotic break or something, and then he goes back to normal afterwards. But it's gotten to this point, and it's really good because they've had loads of issues of him, like his father doing the avenge me as a ghost.
Yeah, avenge me.
But also they kind of go into detail in these flashbacks of how basically Norman Osborn was like a quite abusive father.
Oh, shocker.
And Harry kind of still idolized him and wanted him as his affection. And then he finds out, not only finds out his dad was like a criminal, but he
crazy supervillain.
Yeah, but he finds out that his arch nemesis was his best friend.
Yeah.
And that his dad is responsible for the death of one of his closest friends.
Yeah.
And his best friend's girlfriend. And he finds out that during their battle, his father died and it was potentially Spider-Man's fault. He kind of blocks it out for a while, but then when it all sort of comes back to him, he has this weird thing where he's like, he's a good person, but he's kind of driven over the edge and he can't
process what happened.
Yeah, and he can't process the fact that his dad is a bad person because he idolized him so much.
Yeah.
So he finds like a way of being like, well, if my dad was a good person, which I know he is, then there must be something to his goblin shit. You know, his idea of being like, I have to be powerful. This is very like Norman Osborn never said, but pretty sure that guy would be a white supremacist. Because there's a lot of stuff of we are a better breed. You know, the Osborn DNA. We are.
What?
We are like.
Have you looked in the mirror? What?
Yeah, exactly. And Harry's like, okay, well, if my dad was a good person and he did all this stuff, then he must have been right. So I am more powerful and I am more significant a person. I'm more important, and it must be Peter Parker's fault. Yeah. If it's Peter Parker's fault, and he rationalizes it in his head as like, Peter Parker grew up without parents. I had the most amazing dad in the world.
So he's jealous of my dad.
So he's jealous of it and he's trying to destroy us. And he must be actually responsible for Gwen Stacy's death rather than my dad, because my dad would never do that. You know?
Yeah.
And then he kind of loses it. And it's this really long storyline. It's really interesting because Peter's like, the only reason he's getting his ass kicked is because he doesn't want to fight his friend.
Yeah.
And Harry's like, he knows that and he uses it to fuck with him.
Oh, shit.
Just like fucking with him all the time because he's like, I know you're not actually going to use your full strength for me because you think that I'm your friend, but I'm not, you know? And it's really interesting story.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'd touch on it because when people always go on about best Spider-Man villains, and it's always like Norman Osborn versus
Dr. Octavius.
Yeah, versus Dr. Octopus. And
then if you're an Edgelord, Venom.
Yeah, exactly.
Question, actually. Okay, so
I was going to say, I think Harry should be in a running.
Yeah, sorry.
Genuinely.
I made a joke and I derailed your point completely, but yeah.
What was your question?
Do you reckon Harry's an incel?
No, not.
I think, like you described me, he could definitely subscribe to the incel kind of, if not alt-right, but like the kind of like the well-meaning guy who goes on Reddit too much, and then he like ends up getting like swept up in all of his ideas about his insecurity, and he's like, you know what, I am better than everyone else. And he hates women, and he's just like mildly like kind of like racist without really realizing it.
Well, I mean, that's probably true. I think it'll be a bit of a stretch putting him in the women-hating role. But speaking of men who hate women...
Oh, shit.
We are speaking of one particular prominent men's rights activist today.
Yeah.
And that's...
not Matt Gargan, surprisingly.
No,
shockingly, even.
It's... I've forgotten his name.
Maury Povich?
Maury Bench.
That's it.
Maury Bench. Is that it?
Yeah, Maury Bench.
Okay, that's what his name is in the comic. Maury. I've never heard the name Maury before.
I thought it was Maury, honestly, until I read the Wikipedia about it. But no, that brings us quite nicely into that 90s Spider-Man show. How's it going, everybody?
Did you say white nicely?
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
Just thinking too much about race.
Yeah.
This guy is pretty white.
He's very white.
Yeah.
He's making quite a splash on this episode of that Spider-Man show.
Oh yes, for those who don't know his secret alias, it's Hydro Man.
Hydro Man, yeah. We're getting it wet today, everyone.
No one's getting wet. No one.
Getting it wet. It's a whole other different thing.
You know, we predicted this a few episodes back. Had a strong feeling that Hydro Man wasn't going to be in the running, you know, alongside goblins and, and octopi for the number one villain spot.
No, he's not. He's not near the top. Let's say that.
He's below the Gibbon.
He's below. This guy fucking sucks. I love how much he sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we're talking about in this episode of That 90s Spider-Man Show. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And if you're kind of like listening to all this and you're like, what the fuck is going on right now? This is a podcast where we talk about Spider-Man the Animated Series, which ran from 1994 to 1998, episode by episode. Today is Season 2, Episode 3.
That was a cartoon sound. That's my water bottle.
That's a water bottle.
Gotta get hydrated, guys. I'm sorry.
My name is Henry. I'm one of your co-hosts this afternoon/evening/morning. And alongside me is my dehydrated friend, Jack.
Yeah. About to get hydrated with the Hydro Man.
So everyone remember to drink your water, because they're about to dive right in. We start on Coney Island, where Spider-Man is having a good old bitch. He's just complaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of thoughts are running through his head because they're trying to do their exposition in like the first like 20 seconds, and he's got a lot to go through, so he just sounds like what my brain feels like when I'm having an anxiety attack.
Yeah, he's having a verbal anxiety attack.
Doc Connor said I might be mutating into some sort of freak. I can't even think about that. Maybe I ought to come out here in the day and bring somebody who's fun to be with, like Mary Jane. Well, that would be too much like a real date for her taste. I wish I knew why she always seems so afraid to get close.
He's swinging around Coney Island, saving people from muggers and wondering why people hate Spider-Man. He's holding a newspaper up which says these robberies been committed by someone with superpowers, so it must be Spider-Man, not the 5,000 other supervillains just hanging around New York.
Yeah, it is very much like when you see it at first, you think, oh, someone's framed him like he's been like twice before, but it's actually no, it's just the robberies happened. Spider-Man?
That should be the headline.
You can tell that someone wrote the article and then like JJ just went, why not Spider-Man? Just add that on the top.
Yeah, just gets like a pen, just Spider-Man. print it now. And he's not having a good time. And in his personal life, it's not much better because he's not getting any from MJ. Like last episode, we found out that Felicia Hardy and Morbius are now a thing, so he's down to one person to harass. So he's been trying to get something from MJ, but she doesn't want to open up to him. So that's Spider-Man's not having a great time. And we cut to an aquarium, the most exciting of places, where two security guards are hanging around like this one like set of pearls and a clam. Pearls are in clams, right? What
oysters? No.
Oysters.
No, not oysters.
I think oysters are more like clams.
I think they're in... What?
Is it clams or oysters that pearls are? I'm pretty sure it's oysters.
I mean, have you eaten an oyster?
Yeah, but you can get...
I've had fresh oysters, actually.
Have you had a fresh clams?
No, those were mussels.
Okay. What about shrimp? I think it's an oyster. I think we're getting hung up in the kind of shellfish.
Yeah, it's a shrimp. It's a shrimp. That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like a set of pearls inside the shrimp. And the security guards are going like, oh, look at all that money that's just lying there.
Well, it's not even like it's like an actual necklace as well. Yeah. It's like on display.
But inside an aquarium.
Yeah, why not? I mean...
Why?
Because it's the Hydro Man episode. That's why.
I need something like thematic for him to steal.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the one thing that the insurance doesn't cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The security guard's going like, oh, well, nothing can get in there because it's underwater. And as he's like explaining that nothing can ever happen, the other security guard notices there's a watery figure inside the tank, and he's like, up. It's like a Scooby-Doo like bit. He's going like, shut up, Scooby, I'm trying to like explain to you. And he's like, and he eventually turns around.
And luckily they've got like an alarm system.
Yeah.
To lock down the aquarium.
It's so insane. It's like these metal like 3-inch thick steel doors just slam shut to stop this waterman from getting through. And obviously he breaks out anyway because he's a waterman. And Spider-Man hears all this and he's like, what's all the commotion? And when he gets there, all he sees is like this tank which has been blown open. A little fish kind of flops on the ground.
Saves it.
He saves it. He's just a good kid. And then he kind of goes, what the fuck was this? And he sees like a mysterious figure kind of run away. So he follows him out, And he follows him to the top of these aquarium tanks, and he's like, shit, where the fuck did he go? And his spider sense goes off. There's a giant wave of water which knocks him into one of the nearby tanks, and he realizes, oh shit, there are eels in here. And he gets, like, surrounded by eels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
His ultimate enemy.
The natural predator of the spider.
Well, yeah, just like in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, when they created Electro.
Yeah. Everyone knows that movie is scientifically accurate of all of the Spider-Man films.
And obviously his web shooters don't work underwater, but he just throws some cartridges into their mouths and murders
Those
some
eels
sea
are
life.
definitely dead.
Yeah, he kills them.
Like,
I guess a hero who's going to go on to save lives, who's going to be utilitarian about it, then, it makes sense.
lives underneath the sea are the least important.
Still,
You know Spider-Man's getting harassed by a pizza or something like that.
yeah.
Or like J.J. Jameson's like...
It's going to be easy to write that article the next day, right? They just go in there like, we don't know what happened, but it looks like Spider-Man stole some pearls, spilt like fish and water everywhere, and then murdered a couple of eels and ran away.
And then J.J. Jameson writes an editorial like, is Spider-Man Michael Vick?
Well, they do this whole thing where the next lot of guards come in. They immediately assume that it's something to do with Spider-Man.
And he has to like exhaust, like kind of wearily just web them up and escape.
It's also the running thing, the same thing in the comics of like, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, so he looks worse, but he also
tried to do the right thing.
Yeah, and he hasn't got so much ego that he's gonna like get in the way of things and be like, no, let me explain exactly what's gonna happen. He's gonna be like, no, I just need to get out here and try and find this guy. So he just
there's no time to explain to you guys what's going on,
and makes it look even worse,
more suspicious, unfortunately. So as Spider-Man's escaping that situation, we kind of cut outside where the mysterious figure appears again holding the set of pearls, and all he says is, this is all for Mary Jane.
And then holds it up to a poster of Mary Jane.
Yeah, because apparently she's a big supermodel now.
Very good way to just highlight the fact that whoever this guy is, he's a creep.
He's fucking insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, we cut to the coffee bean once more. Where Peter Parker and MJ are just hanging out, and Peter kind of hands her these photos, and the photos are bad, but they're terrible photos. Just to say.
Yeah,
she's like,
she politely takes them.
Yeah, she's like, oh, this is really good, Peter. He's like, I know, right? I'm such a good photographer. And she's like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, like, Spider-Man kind of Peter Parker even, kind of explains, oh yeah, like, guess you're, like, big and famous now. You can take me to Coney Island. And she goes, well, no. Peter Parker kind of explains, oh shit, like, you never want to go out with me, Mary Jane. Like, it's like, every time I want to go out with you, you don't want to do it. Why is that?
Yeah, it's almost like I should take no for an
answer. It's almost like you don't want to go out with me.
Yeah.
And then, like, MJ, for some reason, doesn't say that. She's like, oh no, it's this and that. Before she has to explain to him that, like, no, Peter Parker, you suck. No one will have sex with you ever. Her friend Liz, who works at Coffee Bean, says, you got a phone call. And she goes and takes the phone call. And it turns out it's the same guy with the pals who's like, hello, Mary Jane. And she's like, oh shit, not you.
Yeah.
It's clear they have a history together, and she kind of goes like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. He's like, but I've changed, baby. I'm all changed. This he's bad news, you can tell right away.
And he tells her to meet him
at a hotel, I think. So yeah, MJ kind of like leaves abruptly, and Peter's like, where are you going? And she's like, and then she's like, I gotta go.
Wait, he says, can I... This is the point where, like, it steps over from, like...
Nice guy into nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy TM. Because he says, I can tag along and keep you company, after she's already said, no,
fuck
I'm
off.
going, leave me alone. And then the next line she said it in a friendly way, but she says the lines, stop following me. And then he responds to that by suiting up and following her as Spider-Man. And
he said nothing about Spider-Man following you.
Yeah, exactly. And while in the context of the episode, we know something creepy's going on, so it's good. He doesn't know that. He's just being like, wow, this woman turned me down 80 times. Maybe I should just follow her around at night.
Mary Jane, hey, wait up! Where you going?
Look, Peter, I'm sorry, but there's someplace I've got to go, okay?
I could tag along and keep you company.
I'm a big girl now. I can take care of myself. So stop following me.
Peter Parker would be the worst guy to match with on Tinder.
Yeah, well, second worst as we're soon to find out.
The second worst guy. Like, you go on one date with him, and suddenly, like, Spider-Man's following you around everywhere. Like, you're on a date with another guy, and, like, there's just, like, Spider-Man in the corner. I'm like, is that Spider-Man over there? He'd never leave you alone. He'd like all your Instagram posts as Spider-Man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you like it as Spider-Man at 4 a.m.
Yeah. It's all like the summer of like last year's photos.
It's weird, Pia. You don't like any posts by anyone but Spider-Man.
Does.
This isn't about me. That phone call got her really jumpy. Well, she told Peter Parker not to follow her, but she didn't say anything about Spider-Man.
So he follows MJ as Spider-Man to this hotel where they kind of like meet like this guy who she calls Maury. Not Maury with an M-A-U-R-Y, but M-O-R-R-I-E.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a nickname of Morris, I want to say.
I don't know. I don't want to think about it too long because I don't want to think about the Hydro Man for too long.
Yeah, so like she pretty much has to shoot him down and say like, the only reason I'm here is to tell you that I don't want to be with you. And he doesn't take that well at all. And and then
he's making all these like romantic gestures and stuff,
Yeah.
right? But the whole time he's doing an evil face. Like
oh my god, the mugging in this episode.
Yeah, he's like over the top villainous while he's going, I will bring you the world and all this.
But I love you, let's spend the days together. Ha ha ha. No, I'm just happy to be with you. I'm not cackling evilly. It's really, really creepy. MJ walks off and Spider-Man's like, that's why she's being all weird. He looks back in the room and then the room is empty. He's like, where did the creepy big guy go?
Also, it's worth pointing out that this guy, Maury,
Yeah.
has a mullet.
He's
Just
a
before we throw
big
this out
ass.
here,
Yeah.
he's quite kind of like this chunky dude, like not fat or anything, but like
He's huge.
he's pretty hench, but he's got like a
He's girthy.
yeah, but he's got like a fat head. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
He's like a rugby player or something.
Yeah.
You know, he's massive,
Thick neck.
and he's got this mullet, which made me think. You know, I make notes sometimes when I'm watching things just random, and I've written down mullet equals evil.
I mean, look at Mel Gibson.
Well, yeah, but he didn't get like less evil after he shaved off.
If anything, the
Maybe
mullet-
got more evil.
Maybe the mullet was holding him back.
Well, what I mean to say is, you got Smythe's got the mullet,
Yeah.
Murray's got the mullet. So is it just anyone in the show that's got a mullet who isn't evil?
If we are yet to meet them, Morbius doesn't really have a mullet, does he?
I guess it's kind of close to a mullet.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I mean, he's not good.
he's not good. Do you reckon it like depends on like mullet quality as well?
I mean, I don't know what.
I feel like
a good
Smythe has the
mullet
worst
is.
one.
I don't know if they've got good mullets though.
Yeah, like they're all like there's no such thing as a good mullet. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Maury and his mullet, they kind of go to like Washington Square Park, right? And then like Spider-Man kind of swings over there, and he's kind of like, how the fuck did he get here so quickly? And that's when the money shot happens. So Maury kind of explains, oh yeah, so I can control all water. And MJ is like, so you're insane now. And he goes, no, I can control the water. And he like takes all this water in this like water park, not water park, but like there's a fountain going off. He kind of controls all that, and he's like, look at me, I'm the water man, I can control this water. And Spider-Man's
Look
like,
how sexy this is.
Yeah.
Do you like me now?
yeah. Are you wet now? Yeah, you are, because everyone's wet now. And like they're like these bystanders who are just like watching on. One of them kind of looks like Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park.
Did not notice.
Yeah, he's kind of got his like little fat with glasses. He's got a little like vial of what I'm assuming are dinosaur eggs.
Just a background gag.
Yeah, because well, he would curry favour. It would tally. So yeah, Spider-Man kind of springs in and he's like, "Yeah, I'll save you, MJ." And she's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And he's like, "Well, there's a 500-foot geezer in the middle of Washington Square Park. What do you think I'm doing here?"
I really like the way they play with his identity
Yeah.
in this show.
It's really good. It's the best part of like the Spider-Man like Peter Parker life is just watching him like really badly explain why he's in places and Spider-Man's in places at the same time. It's like, oh yeah, it's this thing. Just don't think about it too hard.
It's almost like it's more convincing for him to explain it that way than to actually come up with a complicated answer. It's just like, why do you think I'm here? I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah. Don't question me, civilian. And yeah, like, Maury kind of tries to like kidnap MJ again, but Spider-Man swings her away. And they kind of like, he puts us down in a safe place. He's like, okay, I want to fuck with this crazy dude. And he kind of tracks him down. He webs him up into like a big like web sack, and he throws him onto this rooftop. But it just bursts, and he kind of like reconstitutes himself, and he's like, can you match the power of Hydro Man? And Spider-Man kind of like, obviously he's fucking with me, goes like, did you say your name was Hydro Man? Dogs must love you. Which is an excellent line.
This is also a great that Mori is absolutely the kind of guy who would name himself Hydro Man.
Yeah.
Because there's always the difficult thing in this of like, obviously it's like kids' cartoon, so it's fine, but when people come up with these dramatic names for themselves, it obviously is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like, it works so well with him because he's like, yeah, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
And he thinks a lot of himself, so he probably thinks calling himself Hydro Man is very scary.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna be scared of Hydro Man, the wettest supervillain in all of New York. So yeah, like they fight, and Spider-Man gets trapped in the water tower, but he escapes. Then Hydro Man kind of splashes away. It's really sad. Anytime like Hydro Man like moves anywhere, it's really just pathetic just to see people like splashing around him and like him like moving like as a stream of water. It's meant to be like menacing, but it's just kind of funny.
I mean, well, he can like he's got the perfect like exit strategy for whatever situation he's in because he can just always like wherever he is, he just goes down toilet,
Down toilet,
down drain, down sink, just like before anyone can do anything. It's like, oh, he's melted again.
God damn it, he washed away again. So yeah, he kind of washes away once more. And then Spider-Man kind of like goes back to like Mary Jane and is like, who the fuck is that guy? And she explains to him that, oh yeah, we used to date, but the water stuff is new. And then like she's like, there's weird men following me everywhere. And he's like, where? I'll take them out for you. And she goes, I'm gonna take a cab home now.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, specifically like it is when she points out like yeah, there's been a lot of weird men making unscheduled appearances in my life right now, and you're thinking, yeah, and one of them is putting on a costume to do it.
Yeah.
You know? But at the same time, while it is like there's this element of like slight weirdness with Peter like following her around, at the same time, one thing I do like about Spider-Man meeting people that Peter Parker knows.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't like it because it's a bit contrived because it has to be for some reason it's always Aunt May who's been taken hostage.
Yeah.
And so he has to save someone he knows. So Spider-Man's always saving this one random old lady all the time. So sometimes it doesn't work, but I like it here. But it's basically
it could be coincidence.
It's less about like it not being contrived, but more about there's elements of Spider-Man which are, you know, fantasy for people reading them. And I think one of the things is being able to put on a costume and be someone better than yourself.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can strike out repeatedly with Mary Jane, and then he goes and hangs out with her. And it's not like Mary Jane's like, oh, I love Spider-Man or anything, but he kind of gets another chance to socialize with her, but he's more free.
Yeah.
Like, he can crack more jokes, and he's at less of a disadvantage because he's fucking Spider-Man.
It's like he's drunk.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
he can just kind of come up and be like,
hey, I'm Spider-Man. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
yeah, and he's like, oh, hey, and she's like, I know who you are. You know, he's a celebrity, and he can.
She kind of looks at him a bit differently as Spider-Man.
And he can make a joke about her, whereas before he's constantly trying to appeal to her, you know?
Yeah.
They do kind of get that element to it, right?
Yeah. So one of the key assets of being Spider-Man is, like, he's a better version of Peter Parker in a lot of ways.
And in some ways, they do it in the movies, but I feel like if they do it, a lot of the time it's, like, awkward. You know, like him bumping into someone and being like, oh, hi, I'm Spider-Man. And they play it for that kind of gag. But the idea of him, like, running into someone he, like, really cares for and has a lot of affection for and just, like, making a joke about them and then leaving is really great.
Well, see, you stupid, ugly bitch. He, like, swings away.
And you definitely get it with Flash Thompson as well, which is even better because he's like, this is a guy who hates me. But as Spider-Man, he goes up to him and he's like, this guy's my number one fan. I'm always going to get, like...
all the validation I need from this one guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, that's really, really great. We cut to Spider-Man in the lab, where he's kind of fucking with some chemistry, you know, and he makes a really bad chemistry pun here, which is like something like, this solution might be the difference next time along. Solution is also like a solution to a problem, but also like solution as in like a mixture of water and solid.
Yeah.
So chemistry pun over-explained for you, in case you didn't get it. Chemistry! Anyway, he goes back to the coffee shop, and he asks Liz, where's MJ gone? And Liz kind of explains she had to hide out for a bit. And as she's explaining where she went, we see like this like water drip into her purse and pick up this ID card.
It's like a tendril, like a
it's like that
tentacle.
like boss in the Ocarina of Time.
Right, which one? Oh,
The water temple boss, yeah.
That would make sense.
What? The fire temple boss.
Yeah.
So it's
really creepy.
Yeah, it's really creepy. It kind of just picks up this ID card, so now Mori knows where she is too. So we cut to the apartment where Mary Jane is hiding out, and we kind of see her kind of going like, I'm gonna like change the way this goes down this time. I'm gonna take control. As she's doing that, we see this like drip feed of a tap just dripping and dripping and dripping. And then Mori appears out of nowhere. And she's like, oh shit, I left some form of water on. And then as she's doing that, Peter's like kind of going, and this time he's like, I almost not trying to fuck for like one day because she needs my help.
Yeah.
But as he's trying to knock on the door, he looks up and she's getting like carried away in a tidal wave. He's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's kind of like Hydra. I keep wanting to call him Mori. It's disrespect. Mori. It's like he knows that he can't like take her away in a way that's like
subtle.
So he goes fuck it and just like tidal waves through that whole of New York.
Just carries her through New York in a tidal wave
while she's screaming.
It's
like,
really great.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah. What are you gonna do? I'm literally tsunamiing this bitch out of here, and he kind of tsunamis her off of like this like ledge into the sea, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, she's dead!" But Spider-Man, like, who's been swinging at her this whole time, is like, "She's not dead. She can't be dead."
Yeah.
And it turns out he's right. So yeah, they cut to like this hideout where like Mori and Mary Jane are like reunited once more, and he kind of like shows her this big pile of just treasure.
Yeah, it's not even like cash money. I guess he can't get cash wet.
No.
This is like pre-plastic coated notes.
Maybe like a credit card, maybe? I don't know. Would you read a credit card?
Yeah, why don't you get like a pile of credit cards?
Yeah.
But instead he's got a pile of like treasure chests and gold coins.
He's a pirate.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's at this point where he goes like, yeah, this is how I got my powers.
Yeah, always in time.
This is all how it's gonna make sense. And spoiler alert, it makes no sense.
Yeah, of course.
This is the dumbest supervillain origin I've ever heard.
Right.
So it goes.
I'll say as a spoiler for later on. The comic origin also doesn't make sense, but this is like that if they just removed all the fake science jargon and just went fuck it.
So MJ and Mori obviously used to date, but once she broke up with him, he went to the Navy, and there's a really good like image of him as like a really pissed off sailor.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I hate being a sailor. This sucks. And then somehow he ends up at the bottom of the ocean because he's a bad sailor.
They're like putting this
like
device submarine thing into the water, and then a cable flies loose, wraps around his wrist, and pulls him overboard.
Yeah. And he ends up like at the bottom of the sea, and there's chemicals.
There's like a crack in the ocean floor, and then like
effectively magic comes out of it and makes him Hydro Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it makes no sense.
Science magic.
Just ocean science magic. So now he's effectively Poseidon for some reason. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. But here we go. So MJ is like, at this point, she's like, oh, you're the one who was doing all the robberies. And he's like, all for you, my love. And this is where MJ...
Do you want some gold coins?
Yeah, I want some gold coins. Don't take too many times, they're very heavy, but like... And everyone knows that it's stolen, so maybe not. And eventually MJ has to be like, you know what? She has to be ice cold. And she's like, I don't love you. I never did. And for some reason, like, this doesn't actually, like, work at all. He's just like, well...
Is this where he goes crazy?
Yeah.
Because I want to point out, he lets out, like, this scream, but it goes on for so long and his face goes so nuts that it's like an anime scream. It's, like, extremely over the top.
It's like about to go, like, Super Saiyan. It's great.
We've got to get you some help.
At this point, he takes the rejection very well and threatens to flood the city if she doesn't stay with him.
Yeah.
Which is...
normal behaviour.
Yeah, very normal behaviour. I did that on my date the other day, yeah. Just to flood the city.
Is this the point as well where she goes on a speech about, like... She's like, I'm a person, I'm not a thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't own me. And then he's just like...
But I do, though.
Well, he's like, oh, I know I don't own you, but I love you forever. Or something.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things he just, like, sidesteps it because he clearly doesn't understand what she's actually saying.
One in one ear and one out the other.
Yeah. Luckily, there's no real guys like that out in the world.
Well, we'd be fucked if that was the case.
Yeah.
What do you think, guys? Have you ever met anybody like that? Bit, like, not good with boundaries? I can't think of any.
Remember that guy Carl who used to make you really uncomfortable at work parties? Give him water powers.
Yeah. See, that's gonna go well.
Yeah, that's gonna make him a better person.
Yeah, he'll become a superhero. He'll definitely want to steal things for you and try to like take over your life with bad water puns.
You'd be terrible with water powers because you just...
I make puns all the time.
Yeah.
I could be saving people while I'm making really good puns. There's some excellent puns in this episode, by the way. We're about to hear another one. Because Spider-Man swings in.
I'll make a supercut of the puns, maybe.
Yes, do that. I would love it. But yeah, Spider-Man swings in, and he kind of webs up Hydro Man. Usually that doesn't work. Last time it didn't work, but this time it does. And Spider-Man explains, oh, this time I put a coagulant in my webbing, which means that like whenever he like collides my webbing, it'll make him all like solid. And she goes, what? I made him a gelatin dessert.
Yeah.
And he explains, I guess he got his just desserts. And nobody laughs.
Apart from Henry.
I always laugh. At this point, the Neglector realised that a little bit of a crack has appeared in the webbing, so he's able to escape. He kind of like reconstitutes himself, and then he fights with Spider-Man. So while that's happening, MJ kind of runs away, and Spider-Man gets his ass kicked. He's kind of like stuck in all this treasure, like kind of just incapacitated.
That would hurt, being thrown full force into just gold.
Yeah. Like imagine like Mighty Ducks, not Mighty Ducks, DuckTales. When like Scooby Duck like dives into all those gold coins. Yeah. And you think, oh yeah, that looks really fun. No, he would die instantly.
Isn't that a Family Guy joke when Peter Griffin dives into like an ocean of coins, he just hits it and he's like horribly like breaks his arm and he's just like screaming in pain. I'm pretty sure that happened.
Yeah, that's what should happen. Scooby Duck should be foie gras by that point, like. So yeah, MJ kind of runs away, and Spider-Man is too like incapacitated by all this gold to really help. So the Hybro Man kind of chases her away, and we end up in this kind of fire conveyor belt furnace thing.
Right, yeah.
I don't know what to call it, and I was hoping you would. So,
I don't know. And then she throws something at him.
Is that kind of like this fire powder thing?
Yeah, I guess it's like some kind of extinguishing thing.
I think it's some kind of salt, because it kind of dries him out a little bit.
Did you also say about the newspapers? They run through massive piles of newspapers and she like dumps them on him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that comes afterwards, doesn't it?
I think that's before this actually.
Before this, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, she kind of runs through all these newspapers and like she kind of dumps them on him and he kind of splash away. They're in this conveyor belt. He kind of goes to the furnace, kind of steams off a little bit, but then she runs away to the roof. And finally she's like, end of the line. He's like, yes, finally I've got you. And then Spider-Man shows up again, and he's like, don't you realize you can't beat me? And Spider-Man's like, I don't really have to, because she already has.
Yeah.
And what he explains is that MJ's been slowly dehydrating him and leading him away from the water. And now he's just kind of like almost out of it. He's very like sluggish and kind of just like sweating almost somehow.
Yeah, sweating on water sweat.
It's really fucking gross.
Yeah.
And then he gets like, at this point, he kind of realizes, oh shit, I've kind of fucked up here. And they go, no, it's okay, we can help you. And then like one of the funnier deaths in the show, like he kind of just like runs at Spider-Man and tries to bomb him, but he just sidesteps him. And then he splashes and evaporates.
Yeah, he just explodes.
It's like really sad.
And then they play the same music that they play when Spencer Smythe gets blown up last season, which was also a pretty funny death.
It was a hilarious death. All the deaths so far have been really funny. But,
Death is hilarious.
Yeah. Isn't Death funny, you guys? Definitely don't call him with the show for that.
It's kind of implied he's not dead, though, because...
Spider-Man says, oh yeah, he come back when it rains.
Well, he's like, what is... what's it he says? It's pretty cohesive.
Yeah, something cohesive, so, like, it's really easy for him to come back.
Yeah, and then it, like, rains, like, soon after, so you're kind of like, he's probably about somewhere.
Yeah. And MJ's like, you sound just like my friend Peter Parker. And Spider-Man's kind of like, first of all, he must be hurting his eyes, like, you call me a friend? We're more than friends! But he kind of, like, swallows it and he's like, dodges the identity question once more. And it's really funny. I like to think that she knew from this point on and she was just fucking with him.
Yeah, I don't know how it works in this show, whether they go that route.
Yeah, because that's in the comics, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it 100% makes sense in the comics, but it's fine.
But it's fine, whatever.
H2O is infamous among solvents for its self-cohesiveness.
Brother, now you sound like my friend Peter Parker.
Hey, don't insult me.
Cut back to Coney Island, where Peter Parker even, and Mary Jane go on this. They are the same person. You cut me some slack.
Are they? They're the same person. What the fuck?
Spoilers.
I just thought this was a show about two different people. And one guy is just a slightly
creepy jerk.
Creepy photographer, and the other one is a slightly creepy guy who climbs walls.
Yeah. Apparently they're the same person. Don't tell anybody. Spoiler alert for episode 1 of the whole show. So yeah, Peter and MJ are on the date actually. Managed to convince her to go out with him. Turns out she actually did want to go out with him. It was just the Hydro Man was like stopping her. So I guess everyone out there who's like trying to get the girl, just defeat the Hydro Man in her life.
Just murder their previous partner.
Yeah. Like this, Scott Pilgrim, like it's definitely like a thing.
Yeah. Also, he like makes a joke about her having water-based problems recently, which I feel like
That's a big giveaway.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like, even if you knew about it, it's a bit insensitive. She's just being kidnapped
by
and threatened by like
Stalker
X, who then, for all she knows, died, and then he's like making a joke about it. Like...
Remember that thing that happened yesterday? That was real traumatic, huh? Anyway, you're over it now. You're on a date with me. We're good. We're cool. And they gotta go to this like arcade thing where they're throwing baseballs at the whole. I've forgotten the names of everything today. And eventually, like,
I don't know what that's called. You throw.
What is it called?
Ball in the hole.
Ball in the hole. We're calling it ball in the hole. Whole ball.
Ball hole.
That sounds weirder than whole.
Balls
ball.
and holes.
Balls and holes.
Yeah.
Whole ball. I was gonna say whole ball. Ball hole.
We're just like saying the same things now.
Let's just skip over this godforsaken bit. So they're playing like an arcade game. It's all fun and games. And Peter is terrible at this. I don't know if this is like him pretending to be shit or he's just really bad, but he's doing terribly.
I guess having like superhuman strength and agility doesn't make you like superhumanly accurate.
But it must do because he has to like swing around.
I guess he does do precision shots a lot.
Yeah, he would have to.
Yeah, but I guess also he's like, it's like aiming a gun
compared to like throwing a gun.
I guess someone who's really good at like shooting guns isn't necessarily like an amazing baseball player. So
Spider-Man would be like, Peter Parker would be really good at archery but terrible at like American football.
I mean, he'd probably be a better Hawkeye than Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye's kind of pointless. Really,
yeah, I mean, Spider-Man would be a little bit less good at archery, but
probably a lot less of a white supremacist racist.
Wow. Well, okay. Now it's become canon.
It's become canon now. Hawkeye's a racist.
Yeah.
We got it here first.
Sorry, guys. Ruined Hawkeye.
Ruined Hawkeye.
Oh, man, you gotta read the Hawkeye comic. It's really good.
Yeah. I will try. Like, I kind of want to like, read this book with Jeremy Renner kind of bullshit, but I'm going to, like, leave that for, like, another day.
Yeah, maybe no. Maybe never.
Do you want to hear about all these jokes that I had?
Anyway, let's move back to the
end of this episode.
Yeah, let's get back to Hybro Man.
Hybro Man. It's a great name. So, yeah, he's kind of going to her like, oh, yeah, you got some water problems. And she's like, I don't mind so much. And then they kiss. And then, like, it's really sweet apart from this, like, iris zoom that happens, which just kind of, like, zooms in on her lips.
And then kind of holds
stops
there.
For a little while on the lips. And he's like, okay, great.
Is this the first kiss?
No, there's a comedian kiss, which technically counts.
No, that doesn't technically.
For Mary Jane, it counts.
No, he probably explained that it was the chameleon who kissed her.
Okay.
Because the chameleon, he didn't. That's not an identity thing. The chameleon impersonated Peter Parker, so first kiss. Or maybe this is why she didn't want to date him. Because she's like, you made out with me once, but it was actually a terrorist. That's gonna fuck with your head a little bit.
Yeah, I guess. I've been hurt before by terrorists pretending to be you.
Imagine like a real person dating someone, breaking up, they get water powers. Then you date someone else, and then you find out that they're Spider-Man. You'd be like, fucking hell, can someone just be normal?
How do I pick these people?
Yeah.
Imagine, like, you kind of sleep with someone for a while, you find out they've been heading up ISIS.
Yeah.
If you're that level of, like, oh shit, my judgment, like.
Yeah, exactly.
God. But yeah, that's the end of the episode with weird lip iris zoom in.
Seems like you're having nothing but water problems lately.
Right now, it really doesn't seem like a problem.
What did you think of this one?
I thought it was pretty good, and like not in a it has its fair share of silly moments and everything, but it wasn't like a crazy good episode like previous episodes we've had where they've been completely over the top, so much crazy shit happening that it's really enjoyable. It's not like that kind of thing. Just a cohesive, like, good story. I think there's good tension, actually, despite the fact that Hydro Man is inherently ridiculous and, like, kind of a D-lister. The way they build the tension, and even though you know who he is, like, the way they slowly introduce him and then reveal his powers, and the way they actually deal with the idea of a guy who's obsessed with a woman but doesn't understand that that's not love and that he's being abusive.
And he has the powers to go with that abusive relationship, because otherwise he's just some guy you have a restraining order for. But this guy can't be stopped.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just surprised that a kids' TV show from the mid-90s sort of handled this well. Like, wouldn't necessarily thought it would be bad, but I just thought it might have been heavy-handed or something. But
Like
I don't know. There's somehow there are a lot of people who don't understand the basic messages of this episode. Probably like fans who have watched this episode still treat women like this, you know.
It's kind of worrying, yeah.
Because there's definitely a thing, like Hydro Man is a, like, he's basically a part of the seduction community.
He's a pickup artist.
Yeah, he's a pickup artist. He's like, he's watched all these YouTube videos about how you have to trick women into sleeping with you and whatever, and he's obsessed with Mary Jane, and he's trying to do it, and he's like, the YouTube video told me to get the treasure chest, and it's not working, so therefore
it's your fault. You must be a lesbian or something.
Yeah, or I'm gonna have to tidal wave everybody.
Yeah,
you know, and it's, I guess, probably maybe this works better now than it did back in the day, because I feel like we're in contact with, like, not like us specifically, but like as a world, we're privy to men like this more, because they're on the internet all the time, and you're like, there's a fucking load of Maury benches out there.
Hold on, hashtag not all Hydro Man, seriously.
Not all Hydro Men.
Yeah, but like, there are like a depressing number of men who are like this in the real world.
Yeah.
And it's sad, really. And not all of them have superpowers, but all of them are this level of, like, if they could fly to New York to get a girl, they would.
Yeah, the only thing that I'd say against this episode, and this is the thing that maybe does date it slightly, is that there's not as much of a contrast between Peter and Maury as there should be, because
they're the same character, except one like, it happens to be crazy.
Yeah, Maury is like proper crazy, but Peter is still sort of like persistent, and I don't know, if you see if someone keeps turning you down and you think it might be because they have intimacy issues or because they have a dark past, that still doesn't mean that you
press further,
that you just keep following them around and asking them, because like, maybe like Mary Jane would have told him about all this stuff if he was like acted a friend, you know, and actually listened to her rather than being like,
just
why aren't you
her down?
Yeah, why aren't you going on a date with me? Why are you so sad?
Yeah, God, why do you want to go on a date with me? You've told me like 8 times you want to go out with me, but like, why do you want to go out with me? It's problematic.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's another one where like I like Spider-Man more than I like Peter Parker, because he's like, it's not like he's being like a huge creep or anything, but he's not someone you root for in this episode.
No.
Whereas Spider-Man, I don't know, even though he's being a bit more of a jerk and joking around, it's like,
he's not like trying to get something out of this. He's just trying to help this person.
And part of the thing of like pretending that he doesn't know her as part of this weird fantasy,
it kind of detaches a little bit.
It detaches him, but it makes him act like more like a human being, because he's like for instance, when he's like, oh, I can take you home, she's like, no, I'll take a cab, and then he's like, okay, I don't know, this is fine, you know, you don't owe me anything. Whereas like Peter Parker would have been like, oh, I'll come along with you,
and she'd be like, please leave me alone. My ex-boyfriend just tried to kidnap me. Yeah, but you need some comforting, right?
Also, I do really appreciate that Hydro Man is built up as this like pretty much like how do you be this guy? And while Spider-Man has like a few ideas in it and he's not like useless, like it's completely Mary Jane who defeats him.
She takes like one idea and just runs with it.
Yeah, and she doing that as someone who is at much more of a disadvantage than a superpowered person is kind of interesting, and I like that Spider-Man doesn't come in and get the winning punch or anything. He comes in and he's like, yeah, she already beat you. You know, which is kind of like a nice little twist on what you'd expect when she's like a damsel in distress for a lot of the episode.
But she kind of walks up one throwaway line he says at the beginning and just like uses that to beat him, and it's actually really kind of clever. Yeah. That final like punch is just gravity, really. In terms of like the wider context of the series, it didn't do as well as I think as like the last two are like giving us like a narrative to walk through. It felt like a very much like a standalone episode. Yeah. Rather than one that was part of like an ongoing arc.
Yeah, they did the previously on Spider-Man tries to tie it into all this other stuff, and I mean, while there might be stuff in the future that we've forgotten about how it ties in, it doesn't really seem like it's part of this neogenic arc. Also, by the way, I said before that the neogenic nightmare was like 6 episodes. I was wrong. That it's the whole series. It's the name of the series.
It only just started getting like chapter numbers this episode.
What? I think that's a mistake.
Like, yes, last one was just chapter. This is chapter 3.
Yeah.
So we know we're in chapter 3.
Well, the first one also had one, but you just didn't notice it.
Agree to disagree.
you can't disagree. It was there.
I agree to disagree. That was there. But yeah, that's episode 3 of season 2. Jack's looking at me with a very unimpressed look right now. And it's he'll come around.
You can't get too mad at someone with glasses.
You can't punch me, Jack. I'm wearing glasses. But yeah, that's the episode of that 90s Spider-Man show. That's the episode.
Well, it's not the end of our episode.
It's the episode of the show. But we have another section, which is the comic book origins.
Yeah.
So where does Hybro Man come from? And is his origin any less stupid?
Well, it turns out that in the comics, Hybro Man's actually one of the most compelling and riveting villains.
Really?
No. Hybro Man is really shit. He's worse in the comics than he is in this. And he's bad in this, but they find a way to tie it in with Mary Jane and make it like this whole ex-boyfriend thing. It's like they found like a story structure to like apply him to.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, there's no real connection between him and Mary Jane in the comics.
Okay.
At least not from anything I've read. Created by writer Denny O'Neil and artists John Romita and Jim Mooney.
Okay.
His first appearance was in The Amazing Spider-Man 212.
Okay.
Which was published in January 1980. So it's the first of the 80s Spider-Man comics.
Oh, God.
This is the launch of a new decade.
Yeah.
The third decade of Spider-Man comics is Hybro Man.
Oh, what a hard villain to live up to.
I mean, can't get into this too much, but this issue starts with Spider-Man on a boat covered in brine.
Oh, I'm sort of salty.
I can't remember exactly why, but there's some reason why he ended up on a boat for an adventure. It was basically an excuse for him to get into a fight with Namor. Who, if anyone who doesn't know, Namor, the Submariner, he's like one of the oldest Marvel heroes / villains.
It's like Marvel's Aquaman, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Enough that it's different enough for the comics, but enough that I don't see them probably not doing him in the movies. No. If they do, they change him quite a lot.
Or they make fun of him quite a lot.
Yeah, because he's the king of Atlantis, and you know, he has similar powers, and I just don't think you can have a Marvel Atlantis. It's
not a good look at all.
Although I do love Namor because he's like basically a good guy, but like an asshole.
People keep on fucking with the ocean. He's like, stop fucking with the ocean, and he gets pissed off.
Yeah, and that's what happens in that Spider-Man issue, is that someone has to do some testing in the water of this new device, and he's like, you're gonna fuck up like my civilization, don't do this. And it turned out the research scientists just didn't know, but Namor thought they did, so he starts fighting them. Spider-Man like fights him for a while, and it's kind of a fun fight because Namor's so powerful that it's one of the few times Spider-Man's like, I can actually let loose. Yeah. So he like fucking clocks him like quite a few times, and it's pretty brutal. Especially when you know Namor, when he's pissed off, goes a bit nuts.
Spider-Man's just punching this crazy in the head.
But anyway, before I get into that, there's for some reason Spider-Man gets soaked in brine during that fight.
As you do.
And they make up their differences. Namor leaves, and Spider-Man's still on this boat, and he's got to stay on this boat. Yeah. To get home, and he's just like itching because he's covered in brine. He's having a shit time.
Just soaking up like a prune.
Yeah, and he can't take his costume off because he's got his identity.
Yeah. He has to turn around for like 10 minutes.
Well, either way, they've got to do this other test where they got to taste this electrical generator in the water, and basically,
wait, what? That's gonna kill everything in the ocean.
Isn't it? It's not like they didn't go into it exactly, but it's something designed for the water. Okay. But basically, they've got to dip it down, and the guy's like, I don't want to do this because there's volcanic gases like leaking from like the ocean bed around this area, so I don't want to test here, but this is my contract and I have to do it, and technically it's past the safety thing, so we got to do it. And Spider-Man's like, okay, let's just get this done. I really wouldn't want to get home and shower.
3 weeks, yeah. Oh god, that thing smells so bad.
Yeah. Basically, as they're lowering it, an electrical cable gets loose and starts like flailing around.
Oh shit.
And Spider-Man chases after it, trying to like grab it to like stop people from getting like electrocuted.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Murray Bench.
Yeah.
Like they have all these crates on the deck, and he's like in between all these crates. Him and his friend has set up a little table to like play poker because they're just skipping work.
Yeah.
They don't want to work. He's just like an asshole, and he's like, I don't give a fuck. You know, I'm meant to be like the safety guy on this deck. I don't care. Like, you know, just playing poker and hiding from his boss. But Spider-Man runs through trying to get the electrical cable, and so he just pushes all the crates out of the way, and he slams all these crates into these two guys, and Murray goes flying off the edge into the water.
Whoa!
And Spider-Man doesn't even notice. He gets the cable, he like webs it down, everything's fine. And then the other guy comes up and he's like, yeah, Murray just went over the edge. And Spider-Man's like, when did he go over? And he's like 5 minutes ago. Pretty sure he's dead. And then Spider-Man jumps in anyway, and he sees Murray, and then sees Murray get sucked into a propeller of the boat.
Oh shit!
And he's like,
well,
okay,
he's dead.
He's dead. And then he just pops out the other side. And he's like, oh, that's weird. That's like a 1 in a million chance.
Yeah.
Takes him up onto the boat, but it turns out while he was under this water, the special radiation energy of this generator combining with the volcanic gases escaping from the ocean bed combined and gave him water powers. This is what I'm saying about like it not making sense.
I think it's worse because they tried to explain it.
Do you? Because in the other one they're just like he fell in the water and then they just visually just show
things happening to him,
just a science thing near him, and then he
I think it's magic, not even I think it's magic.
I mean, science is magic in the comics. It is magic science. Everything, like, the fact that Ant-Man makes any sense is magic science.
Yeah.
You know?
But I feel like this is so vague that it's almost better to not explain it.
Yeah, but I mean, radiation.
I guess, yeah.
Spider bite radiation.
But that was the 60s. This is the 80s. We know a bit about radiation by this point.
You know what? I don't think that all those comics in the 60s were people genuinely thinking that radiation could do that stuff.
I think they didn't know, and Stanley was like, that should be funny. And then, I don't know, yeah. The point is, the origin makes no sense either way. Either way, it's stupid.
Murray gets on board.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I feel like shit. And the guy's like, well, yeah, you know.
You pretty much died.
Yeah, so it's fine if you feel fine. And he's like sweating. Feels like he's wet, and he's got a towel and he keeps drying himself off, but he just can't get dry.
Oh shit!
And it makes him really pissed off because he's like, I'm constantly wet.
Yeah,
I can't do anything about it.
I'm so wet right now.
So he literally goes like, I'm so mad. I'm gonna go back to mainland, go to a bar, hopefully get into a fight to like vent this frustration about how wet I am.
Oh god.
So he goes to this like dingy bar, which I think I forgot what it's called, but they go to it quite a few times in Spider-Man comics. It just lists. You know, where informants and dive bar, like, you know, it's the cheap place. Sandman drinks there as well. Anyway, he goes there for a drink. He's like, at this point, he's like sweating uncontrollably, and he's like so hot in here. He's being an asshole, and then collapses into a puddle.
Sure.
And then after like a few minutes, he kind of like pulls himself back together. Like, did it just die? The siren?
Just a little like whimper.
But he pulls himself back together. At that point, he's like, "This sucks. The fact that I'm like falling apart as a human.
Yeah,
I gotta take it out on people now that I got these powers, especially Spider-Man." Then there's this weird montage of him going through drains, and just
this guy sucks so much.
He's popping out of sinks, popping out of buckets, popping out of the bucket thing. I don't understand. Popping out of showers and just like going, "Are you Spider-Man? Where's Spider-Man? Do you know where Spider-Man is?" And also like finding people who wronged him and like beating them up.
This is so insane.
The media call him Hybro Man.
Oh, okay.
Which is where he gets his name this time.
I that's more disappointing. I like that he hadn't named himself Hybro Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he like stops to like confront this millionaire. Like, and I think he's robbing him. It's a bit unclear. But Spider-Man's heard about this and he's like searching through the area where it was last spotted and sees him. And then he gets splooshed. Which, and I mean this literally, because like he, whenever Hydro Man like he does in the show. I mean, we kind of didn't mention this, but a general attack he would do would be like turning his arm into like a high pressure water cannon.
He like hydro pumps people.
Yeah, he just like shoots loads of water at them and knocks them back. That's his main go-to.
It's super effective.
And and whenever he hits someone with it, the sound effect is massive capitals sploosh. So he is
oh god.
He is a sploosh man.
He's a sploosh machine.
I think we can go with Hybro sploosh.
Hybro sploosh.
Anyway, after like getting his ass kicked, he goes to JJ and he's like, I got these photos of Hydro Man, and put these photos out, and also Spider-Man told me to put a challenge to fight Hydro Man in the paper. He does, and he tells him to meet him on this rooftop. And it's on this rooftop that they start fighting. They do actually pick some stuff from this comic for the show, like things like where he jumps at him and he just like goes through his stomach.
Yeah.
Like little things like that. He starts firing water at him, but at one point he says, I can fire water as fast as bullets.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, I don't know.
Like a high enough pressure, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like if you get like a riot control hose and you like hit someone with it, they're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, but it's a pressure. It's not a speed. That's a pressure thing. Like because of the way that physics works, like the water resistance would mean it can't go anywhere near as fast.
It all makes sense.
Okay. I'm sure this is all like sound science.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of these episodes, you know, I'm going to be the guy going to bat for comic book science, but it's not going to happen with Hydro Man. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit about this guy enough to like defend him.
No, he deserves no defense.
In this, rather than Mary Jane, it's Spider-Man who lures him to like run across this rooftop where there's like clotheslines and he's like hitting through them. The clothes are absorbing some of the water.
Oh no.
He's throwing like there's piles of newspapers he's throwing at him, and basically he keeps chasing him until
he's all like washed out.
Well, he's like he is in the show where he's like drained of energy, and Spider-Man's like, you've lost a lot of mass.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's also noon on one of the hottest days of the year. This is a bad time, but like I'm willing to call a truce. I don't want to fight you anymore.
Yeah.
And of course, Hydro Man's like, fuck the truce, goes to like attack him, and then rather than just like hitting the floor like he does in the show, Spider-Man just punches him, and he punches him and he explodes.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, he explodes into like
just like specks of water.
Specks of water that then evaporate.
Oh.
And then Spider-Man, like, this is like the last page this happens, and then he kind of like sees all the steam going up, and he's like lamenting because he's like, shit, I didn't want him to die. That sucks. And then he's like, you know, Maury, if you are alive, you know, I wish you good luck. Yeah. And then it goes up and then it rains, and then the issue ends with it raining.
Oh.
And unfortunately, he comes back.
Oh fuck.
To be honest, Hydro Man's like basically this low rent D-lister who exists basically to fill out teams. If there's going to be a team up of villains, fuck, we need another guy for Hydro Man in there.
Yeah, he's a reserve guy. He's on the bench going like, put me in, coach.
Yeah, exactly. For instance, there's a team called the Sinister Syndicate.
Sure.
Which is Beetle, Hydro Man, Rhino,
come on.
Boomerang.
Okay.
And Speed Demon.
Okay.
Who's like just a super fast guy.
Sure.
They have their own like little series. There's like a one-off series that's like 4 issues or something, like a mini series.
Yeah.
It's actually really good because it's just entirely, you know what, we were in our last bonus episode.
Yeah.
Bonus.
Your bonus episode.
In our last bonus episode.
Yeah.
We spoke about what we'd want a Sinister Six movie to be, and the Sinister Syndicate comic is kind of that, where it's just a storyline about them trying to pull jobs, but then like they're betraying each other, and there's infighting, there's like jealousy, and they kind of fall apart, and at the same time they're trying to pull off these heists. The Spider-Man comes in. It's actually a really fun series. I recommend it. Hydro Man was in that. He was also in the Masters of Evil at one point, which is like basically the anti-Avengers.
Okay.
Which is, again, they just need another member. Fuck it, he's in there. Yeah. He was in the Frightful Four, which are like the Fantastic Four villains, but
like a Halloween version.
Who's that? That's like, fuck. Who's in that one? Sandman's in that.
Yeah.
And like Wizard and some other jerks. Anyway,
Yeah.
he's like, he replaced them when like Sandman was off somewhere else or something.
Yeah.
And then he was also in the Sinister 12, which is a thing that happened once.
Where 12 people came out to fight Spider-Man
It's like
and fail.
There's a really good comic, or at least I remember it being very good. I haven't read it since I was young, but a thing called Marvel Knights Spider-Man.
Yeah.
20-issue series or something.
Yeah.
Had a lot of Green Goblin stuff in it, and there's this one issue where, as a surprise ambush, Green Goblin turns up with 11 other supervillains, but they never go into like any of their motivations. It's just a big fight.
We're here to fuck up Spider-Man.
And then Spider-Man sort of escapes, and then the storyline's about something else.
Okay.
So it's only a one-off thing.
Okay.
But he's there, because again, it's just, you'll get that one panel of Hydro Man like doing some Hydro bullshit.
Yeah, just splashing around.
Just splooshing around. And then after that, I'd say there's only really 2 notable appearances after that that I'll mention. Turns up there's a Deadpool Spider-Man series in 2016.
Yeah.
I haven't read the whole thing, but in the first issue, he's just there as like this fight that Spider-Man's in that Deadpool interrupts. He's basically attacking this like waste treatment plant, and he ends up like becoming like garbage
Sewage
water.
Man. Yeah.
Unfortunately, he doesn't say I'm sewage man or anything like that. But he does like splash them with the water, and then they're like, "Oh, we stink like shit now."
Let's go get some new clothes. Go to dry cleaners.
Deadpool fucks this whole thing up, and Spider-Man gets pissed at him. I'm also pretty sure at this point this is during the Superior Spider-Man arc.
Oh.
So I think it might be Otto Octavius, which would explain why, to defeat Hydro Man, Spider-Man says, "Do you have any incendiary grenades?" To Deadpool.
Jesus.
And then Deadpool's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "How good's your healing factor?" And he's like, "It's amazing. I can come back from anything." And he just like pulls the pins and throws Deadpool into Hydro Man, and then he blows up. And then Hydro Man like, well, you don't know what happened to him. And then like Deadpool is there like just his torso like slowly growing back.
Oh shit!
It's pretty fucked up.
Wow. Yeah, that has to be Dr. Octopus.
Yeah,
I hope.
Yeah, I didn't read through the issue. I kind of skimmed through the issue because I just read about it, and I was like, I needed to see this garbage sewer man. There's also a series called Marvel 2-in-1.
Okay.
So
So we get 2 issues for the price of 1.
I think it's just a team up.
Oh.
But in Marvel 2-in-1 issue 3, which is a weird thing to say.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, the Hydro Man is being held by this scientist who's like, "Oh, I'm going to cure you of your Hydro."
I'm going to unsploosh you.
Yeah. And but then the Thing and the Human Torch, for a variety of reasons, turn up, and then he's like, "Oh, you tricked me. This is an ambush. This was a setup." And he bursts out, which leads to my favourite lines, which is the Thing going, "You're not important enough to set up." Which is so funny because it's so true. It's just like, why would we give a shit about you?
Yeah. I barely know who you are.
But they have a big fight. He's defeated. He escapes down the toilet.
That's never not
This
funny.
is in 2018, by the way, so this is quite recent.
Yeah.
He turns up in a river, sees a campsite,
Yeah.
and he's hungry. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to go steal that shit.
Yeah, of course.
So he goes over like, this loser is so unlucky. I'm going to fuck him up. Goes over to this guy, and he's like, "Give me all you got. Give me everything." And then the shadowy figure says, "Bub, you've just made the worst mistake of your life. And the last." Snicked.
Oh.
And then he draws his Wolverine claws. It turns out it was Wolverine.
Yeah.
He just, of all the people to try and rob, he tried to rob Wolverine. And that's the end of that issue. And as far as I know, Hydro Man hasn't come back.
So somehow Wolverine killed him.
Maybe.
I was hoping he'll get like a pathetic death from Hydro Man.
Well, he either died off screen or he's fine, but he just got fucked up by Wolverine.
Wolverine keeps him like a little like bottle. He sometimes pisses in.
I mean, I don't know if Wolverine would be a good person to fight against him because he's he can't like cut him because he's water.
He's just gonna make Wolverine all rusty.
Yeah, but adamantium doesn't get rusty, and also Wolverine basically can't die.
So it's just like a never-ending fight.
Yeah, exactly. Hydro Man in general, and I'd say this for the comics and the show, is weird because he's kind of unstoppable.
Yeah.
But he's also, like, as a character, so uninteresting.
Yeah.
I feel like writers don't know what to do with him, and that's why he pops up pretty rarely. He's come up, like, you know, a dozen times or something in a comics, but that's over, like, decades, you know, and a lot of those aren't even Spider-Man comics. He's, like, popping up in other people's comics, you know, it's just a throwaway villain to put in there.
Yeah.
Every now and again, some writer goes, I need a villain for this, but this issue isn't really about the villain. It's just like, I need to throw someone in there.
Yeah.
And like, has anyone used Hydro Man in a while?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Just throw him in there. He's not going to do anything like terrible to Spider-Man. He's just going to splash around for a bit.
Yeah. It's hard to be intimidated by a sploosh.
Yeah. Very few, if any, stories need an extra bit of sploosh in them, you know?
Maybe if the character was like some like suave, cool villain, like, I don't know, maybe you could make it, you know, interesting.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't just so wet.
Yeah, he's wet.
He's extremely wet.
He doesn't, his wetness is just...
It's like, almost like off-putting to other people.
He's just a bit gross and
It's a bit of a wet blanket.
Yeah, and I think
a damp squib.
I mean, it makes sense that they used him for this storyline in the show, because, like, he is just...
A bit of a washout.
Yeah, he's pathetic.
He's not good.
You know, wish-washy, you know.
Yeah, wishy-washy.
Do you think he ever needs to clean his clothes, or whether he just, like, pours, like, detergent on himself?
And just shakes around.
Yeah, spins around.
How do you think he smells all the time?
I don't know, how does water smell?
Like, would he smell like the sea? Would he smell like a swimming pool?
I guess it depends where he gets the water from.
Oh, God.
But you could separate chlorine.
Yeah.
But then there's a reason people have chlorine, and it's to keep it clean. Is he just going to be, like, gross? Like,
is he going to, like, covered in bacteria and algae?
Yeah.
Is he going to, like, octopuses, like, stuck in his body? It's like...
You know what I need to see?
Yeah.
Man-Thing versus Hydro Man.
Oh, it's going to be disgusting.
Yeah, if they fight, and then he just absorbs them straight away.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Man-Thing just eats him.
Yeah. Just absorbs him, and he's just dead.
That would be stupidly pathetic for what is Hydro Man.
Yeah.
Oh god, fuck this dude. Fuck this dude so much. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the comic book origins of the worst supervillain in the Marvel Universe, which is Hydro Man, which also brings us to the end of that Spider-Man show, Season 2, Episode 3. Any last words, Jack?
Well, we started this episode and I was saying how, like, Harry Osborn should be in the running for one of the best Spider-Man comic villains.
Yeah. And now Hydro Man should be included in that as well.
Well, I really want to make it clear. I haven't read every Spider-Man comic. There's still some 90s bullshit for me to see.
Yeah.
And I'm sure once I actually get to the spider side issues, I will realise how wrong I am. I think Hydro Man's the worst Spider-Man villain. He is so shit.
He's worse than the kangaroo, worse than the gibbon.
Yeah, because they're silly, so it's when they're pathetic, it's funny. But it's just a bummer, you know?
He just bums out every issue.
He's just like a guy at a party who no one likes, and he's just complaining about the party while
all
he's
the way
there.
through. And everyone's like, why the fuck are you here? Oh my god, he's the anti-sploosh to women.
But the episode was pretty good.
Yeah, somehow. You managed not to drag it down too much. That is the episode, though. If you like this episode of That 90s Spider-Man Show and you want more, subscribe to our podcast. Do that. And in between that, we have social media channels.
Yeah, and make sure to rate and review us as well, because it's an easy, quick thing to do to rate. Give us a little boost in rankings from, like, I don't know, where are we? Like, 100 million?
I think every website on the internet.
Yeah. Right at the bottom of the list. We're probably the bottom of the list of the Spider-Man the Animated Series focus.
Well, 100% the bottom of that.
Yeah.
We're like the Hydro Man of that series.
Yeah, and on that note...
And remember, folks, if you're really into a girl who's not into you back, why not just get water powers? That's been That 90s Spider-Man Show. Thanks so much. Go about your lives.